Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name is Rodney. If you already knew that, thank you so much for coming back and checking out another Bleacher Report live stream. I already see the chat rocking and rolling. This is probably the most chats I've had before a stream even started of all time. I see people in there already typing away. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about mandatory minicamp because we got a lot to discuss. We got Germaine Pratt. We got the wide receiver situation is all over the place, and it's all positives for the most part. Geno Smith is lighting up the place. There's a lot to discuss. There was a lot of media day press conferences. Pete Carroll, I took some notes on stuff that he said. Like I said, if you are watching on Bleacher Report, make sure voting in the polls and chatting. I say this every week. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button and comment away. It does help. You can't vote in the polls after the fact on YouTube, but just let me know who you would have voted for in the comment section. I do want to just address something really quickly. I see my mother in the chat. Hello, mother. It's her birthday today. Can we get some happy birthday moms in the chat live right now or after the fact on YouTube? It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, mom. The ripe young age of 39. Anyway, happy birthday, mom. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is, and then there's my dad sitting at Walmart. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is Germaine Pratt. Now, look, I'm sure shout out to Mo, talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm sure he talked about the salary cap situation after the fact. I'm sure he talked about the fit with the team. I'll give my little take on it here because I didn't do it live on BR. And then we'll talk about what this means for some other linebackers in particular on the roster because there's going to be an odd man out from the people that thought they were going to start initially because Germaine Pratt's starting. Plug and play him. Landon Roberts, most likely starting. Plug and play him. The other two, the other three, the other four, whoever we want to talk about, that's up for grabs. I made a video when Jair was cut and when Germaine was cut saying we should go get Jair and we should go get Germaine. I would have rather had Germaine Pratt than Jair Alexander because I trust who we have at cornerback a little bit more than who we have at linebacker. I really only trust Landon Roberts, and I barely am getting there with him. From the Steeler fans in my life, they've told me he's great, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I need to get trust from him with pads on. I'm happy that everyone's saying happy birthday to my mom. That warms my heart. So when we signed Germaine Pratt, I was like, let's go. I want to see how expensive he's going to be because he's a captain of the defense, led the team in tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and it was only about $5 million if he hits every incentive. And I saw, what were we talking about up here earlier? Somebody in the chat, Feet said, how are we getting so many team-friendly deals? Is Spy giving free agents where'd it go? Mark's credit card and sending them to Vegas, then sign them the day before they sober up. I mean, look, you're obviously joking, but you're not joking in terms of John Spytek. And I know this in the thumbnail, it says a star was born. And I'm talking about a specific player, and that'll be later on in this video, a player on offense, a star being born. But John Spytek's star as a GM in this league is rising. Because I've said this since day one. If Ben Johnson was the next hot shot, coordinator to become the coach, John Spytek was the version of Ben Johnson, the next hotshot GM candidate. And because of our connection with Tom, we were able to kind of bring him in and immediately get him to sign. And ever since Spytek has been here, what has he done for us? Instantly addressed the quarterback position. We're not going to be the Giants where we're going to rely on a rookie or Russell Wilson. We're not going to be the Steelers that pray to God that Aaron Rodgers signs with us and stays healthy. Spytek for president. I've seen that comment multiple times. We're going to go get a quarterback that's top 12-ish in the league. When he's great, he's 7. When he's not great, he's 14. Address that instantaneously. Okay? We're going to move off of some guys in the defensive market because we think we could find upgrades or players that play the same level as them for lesser amounts of money. We let go of Trayvon Merrick. We get Jeremy Chin. Some people tell me that Jeremy Chin's a little better than Trayvon Merrick. I don't know yet. He's significantly cheaper. We extend Max Crosby instantaneously. We extend AJ Cole and make him the highest paid punter in the National Football League. We extend Geno Smith when we get him. And then in the draft, and we were like, we got some holes here. We didn't address the wide receiver position. Jack Besh and Dante Thornton, both of which we're going to talk about later when this OTA recap, because they have been shining bright as well. One of the worst running attacks in the history of the planet last year was the Raiders. And what do? Ashton Genty, 6th pick. Did we have the 6th pick? I don't remember. What was our pick in this draft? I don't even remember anymore. Every step of the way, he's shown, John Spytek, that he is capable of running an organization the way it's supposed to be. And now, going into OTAs and going into mandatory minicamp, there were 2 positions that we were like, oh, we could probably use one of those. And linebacker was of the utmost importance. And what does John Spytek, the rising star general manager, do? He goes out and gets what would have been a highly competitive free agent if he was available before everybody signed everybody else, like Robert Spillane. Like, I bet you the Patriots would probably rather have Germaine Pratt on his contract than Robert Spillane with the money that they gave him. And thank God the Patriots weren't in the mix here with all that money that they had to spend initially. But there was reports that Germaine Pratt had a lot of competition from other teams that wanted to sign him. But we got it done. And we got it done for $4.75 million. And that is not out of thin air. That is John Spytek, rising star general manager. And speaking of Germaine Pratt, he's going to take a starting spot from somebody, and he's probably going to take a roster spot from somebody. So let's hop into our first little article here by Levi on Just Blog Baby. He says, Raiders genius Germaine Pratt signing spells doom for 2 veterans. Las Vegas added a premier linebacker on Wednesday. The Las Vegas Raiders overhauled their linebacker room this offseason under general manager John Spytek. Both Spillane and Diablo, who started for the Raiders in each of the last 2 seasons, did not receive a contract offer from the team during the free agency period. These 2 were replaced by veterans Landon Roberts, Devin White, and Jalen Smith. Let me just X out of this right here. While still many had outstanding concerns about this unit, I being one of them, Las Vegas swooped in with the signing of Germaine Pratt on Wednesday evening. Now, with the surefire solution at the position, several other players in the room could be expendable. Pratt has spent the last 5 years as a full-time starter with Cincinnati. He was the team captain in the 2024 season. With him now expected to start along Roberts, the writing could be on the wall for both White and Jalen Smith. Neither of these players signed a deal with any guaranteed money, so the team would take on no financial penalty for parting ways with one of them. 4 veterans in a room with young emerging players like Amari Gainer and Tommy Eichenberg feels like a bit of a crowd. At least one of these players will be released for the 2025 season begins, and perhaps both of them. Roberts was quick to praise Eichenberg for his effort in camp, and the team invested a draft pick in young linebacker Cody Lindenberg as well this year. So that's going to be the first poll question I put out to you as I contemplate this question and as I browse through the chat a little bit. I see Walmart is taking a couple strays here because it's owned by the Broncos ownership family. I'm going to stay out of that. Exactly right. How is he doing these great deals? I just think that he knows how to appeal to every player that we're going to get, whether it's no state income tax in Las Vegas, which probably helps a lot of people want to play and sign some sort of contract with Las Vegas. He's probably pitched to them the idea of being closer to Tom Brady, being closer to Patrick Graham, being closer to Pete Carroll. I'm sure Germaine Pratt's main selling point was being the anchor of a Patrick Graham, Pete Carroll-led defense, right? I think that's probably what he sold him on. This is what happens when Tom Brady comes in and runs a team. Yep, I couldn't agree more. And let's give Mark Davis credit. He's tried since taking over the team. He listened to some people he shouldn't listen to, but he was smart enough to get Brady in here to change the whole organization. I've had this stance since day one. Some people don't like that I say this, and keep voting in this poll. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. Some people don't like that I say this, but Mark Davis is a good owner. Like, he's a good owner in terms of he does his very best to put people in positions of power that should be successful in theory, and he doesn't meddle in those plans. He gave John Gruden the keys to the castle. He gave Josh McDaniels the key to the castle. Now he's given, Pete Carroll the keys to the castle. The only issue is he doesn't know how to sign the correct personnel. but he knows what he doesn't know. And he's able to bring in people like Tom Brady and that ownership group with those finances. Love that. And he's able to say, look, I clearly on my own can't figure this out. Figure it out with me. And Tom Brady was like, let's go get Pete Carroll. Let's go bring in Geno Smith, maybe Stafford. But no, that doesn't work out. We'll go get Geno Smith. And the idea that Mark Davis, no matter who he signs, does not force you to draft a Shedeur Sanders like the owner of the Browns did. Or Jerry Jones doesn't act as the owner and GM. You don't understand how valuable that is, that has an owner that just puts his hands up and goes, look, I want to win more than anything, and I will spend all the money possible, and I will make a new stadium, and I will do all these things. But at the end of the day, you are the decision maker. You got to figure it out. And if you don't get it done, then we're going to move on from you. And also the Antonio Pierce thing, it's like he got roasted by everybody by not hiring Rich Bisaccia. So this time he was like, all right, I'll give AP a year, and we'll see what happens. If we bottom out, then we bottom out. And that's what happened. He gave the fans, most of us, what we wanted, which was Antonio Pierce, and it didn't work out. So then he goes opposite. Pete Carroll, proven champion. I think Mark Davis is a good owner. Mark Davis is a great owner. He had to learn how to become an owner. He's got an unbelievable deal with the stadium too. And it's the best stadium, best or second best stadium in the league. It's us and SoFi. Like, he is a great owner. And I don't like the Mark Davis slander. Just because he makes bad decisions sometimes, he's not doing it out of a lack of caring or understanding. He just doesn't know what to do all the time. And that's why he brings in Tom Brady. Who is the odd linebacker out? We've got Tommy Eichenberg, Devin White, Jalen Smith, and Landon Roberts. I put LOL there because obviously Landon Roberts isn't the odd man out. Tommy Eichenberg, he's still young, and the reports are that they like him enough to keep him around. We heard the report that Landon Roberts said he likes the energy and versatility of Tommy Eichenberg, so I don't think Eichenberg's going to go anywhere. If I had to pick between Devin White and Jalen Smith, I would say Devin White is the likelier linebacker to continue to be on the roster, right? Because the locks are Landon Roberts and Germaine Pratt to start. Eichenberg and Gaynor could be battling for reps. Devin White and Jalen Smith can both be cut, but they're both similar players in terms of they were both linebackers who, at a certain point in time, were Pro Bowl type people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was Devin White an All-Pro at one point? Somebody put that in the chat if I have that right or wrong. Devin White has been better more recently, but both of them are not great anymore. And a lot of it has to do with injury concerns, and a lot of it has to do with a declining physical state for both of these linebackers. Now, can Pete Carroll revitalize both of them? Yes. John Spytek has a relationship with Devin White because they shared time in Tampa Bay together. So I think Devin White has the upper hand to keep his roster spot. But all that to say, if they're both great, then they'll both stay. If they're both not great, they'll both get cut. There's no favoritism here. Everything's about competing with Pete Carroll and John Spytek. I think Ike or Smith are gone. Smith can't stay healthy. Never know. Never know. Mark Frosh early, but at least he isn't the Maras or Jimmy Haslam. I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, it could be a lot worse than Mark Davis. And I just think sometimes the slander gets a bit much. Because he's quick to pull the trigger on the Josh McDaniels thing if it doesn't work. He's like, no, you're out. You're not even getting a second full season. We'll figure this thing out. So, I think I agree with this poll. If I had to order it, I would say Jalen Smith is the most likely to go. Devin White's right below him. Tommy Eichenberg, I don't see getting cut. And Atlanta Roberts will be on the roster and starting in week 1. So, let's talk a little bit about the recap of what's been going on here. And apparently Geno Smith is just laying the world on fire in some of these practices. Now, look, I understand this is not the preseason of the regular season, but this is what we have to go off of. These are the reports. And Vinny Bonsignore, trusted insider, said, I think it was 2 days ago on Twitter or either yesterday on Twitter, he had a tweet that was going a little off in the Raiders community, and it basically said as much. If you compare where the offense was of the Raiders right now to what it was a year ago at this time, it's a completely different night and day change. He said scheme is better. Athleticism is better. Talent is better. Energy is better. Everything is completely and utterly different from what it was last year, which was Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell and Luke Getsy. Now it's Geno and Genti and Myers and Bowers and Chip Kelly, highest paid OC in the league. So let's get into a little bit of what happened here yesterday. And let's see what we got here. So these are notes and quotes from day 2 of Raiders 2025 mandatory mini camp. So Levi Edwards starts out by saying, as Las Vegas Raiders held day 2 of minicamp in Henderson, Nevada, both sides of the ball continued to make plays. While there was some ample offensive firepower to go around at the beginning of the team, the defense picked things up later in the stretch. At the end of the day, it's all about competition. This is a quote here from Devin White. I've been taking advantage of OTAs and everything, the phases to just come here and work my butt off and show them that I'm committed, I'm bought in, and I appreciate the process. It ain't nothing like the process. You start from the bottom and then you try to work to the top. I like that. I like that. So here are a couple of notes here that we should be locked into and paying attention with. Geno Smith continued to impress with his accuracy, connecting with the offensive weapons for a few touchdowns in the team period. He linked up with tight end Michael Mayer and Kadir Ismail for a few scores, as well as receiver Joey Myers on a perfectly placed ball in the back of the end zone. This guy is really about his craft, Adam Butler said about Smith after Wednesday's practice. I mean, every day he's got some amazing passes where I'm like, dang, it's crazy. I'm just excited to see him do it in the game. One of the most unsung performers in Wednesday practice was receiver Colin Johnson, who caught a few passes from multiple quarterbacks. Johnson signed with the Raiders in May, originally the 5th round of the 2020 draft by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Interesting. While several rookies made an impression, Jack Bech joined the party with an impressive showing on Wednesday morning. His route running ability shined, and his reps seemingly finding ways to get open in the middle of the field throughout the day. That's where he's going to shine, man, right in the middle of the field. The defense came away with 3 interceptions on Wednesday. 2 made Darnay Holmes. That's huge. The former New York Giant cornerback had 4 career picks and appeared in 16 games last season for the Silver and Black. The highlight reel play of the day came from none other than Max Crosby. The edge rusher made the perfect read at the line of scrimmage on a screen pass in the backfield. He caught the ball in stride, high stepped to the end zone with his teammates joining the celebration. Unbelievable. I cannot wait to watch this team. I was right next to him, and you know what? Truthfully, we both knew it was coming. Butler said of his interception. We knew it was coming. I mean, how many times has he stopped the screen where he's batted down or tipped the ball or whatever on screen plays? He's got a million of those, and that's just what he does. The crazy thing is, if y'all were watching individual, we were working on that drill. Tyree added about Crosby's pick. Practice is reality. So when you practice something, he's always special. He's always batting it down. And we worked it today, and he had a pick for a touchdown. And then we got a lot of cool pictures here of I probably should have used some of these for the thumbnail. Oh, and there's a sponsor, so we'll get out of there. Look, I don't even know where to begin. Apparently, Geno Smith has been setting the world ablaze here, and we'll talk about Jack Bech and Dante Thornton in a little bit. But I had a thought here as I was coming up with what I wanted to talk about and the recaps of mandatory minicamp and all the quotes that were coming out. And all the people on this team that are so thrilled, like Adam Butler. I keep calling him Matthew Butler, and they're yelling at me in the comments. I apologize. Adam Butler saying, I cannot wait to see Geno in live action. Like, look, last year when Aiden, we thought was going to be the starter, or when Gardner was competing with him, there were quotes like, yeah, man, consummate professional, knows the playbook, blah, blah, blah. With Geno, it's like, this guy can throw the freaking football. He's like doing things that I've never seen before. Now, obviously, that's a little hyperbolic, but they're saying things that they don't have to say. I can't wait to watch him play. Nobody was saying that about Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. And just like Tyree Wilson said, practice becomes reality. And him spreading the ball around to all these rookies is huge. So here's my question to you as I ponder this a little. As Geno Smith hit his prime, because I made a Raiders retrospective video, which is a series that I'm calling it, on my YouTube channel. And it talked about Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon was 32 years old when he first got his opportunity to start with the Raiders, right? That's the same year, the same age that Geno Smith was when he started in Seattle. So when Rich Gannon started with the Raiders his first season, was the same age that Geno Smith started his first season in Seattle. Right. And then Geno started for 3 years, and now he's going to be on the Raiders for his 4th year of really good football. Does anyone remember what season Rich Gannon won his MVP in? It wasn't his first, second, or third. It was his 4th season with the Raiders. So is there a chance that Geno Smith is now entering his prime? Or did he peak in Seattle? And if you did, there's no shame in voting for that. That could be the case. But we've already talked about his body It's not a 33, 34-year-old body. It's like a 28-year-old body because he was on the bench for so long. I think Rich Gannon probably played a little bit more than Geno Smith. That might not be true. It's probably close, right? But Geno Smith is probably a better athlete than Rich Gannon. Rich Gannon was running around a lot, but he deteriorated quickly, injury-wise. Geno Smith has never had a real injury concern. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that what you guys are saying, right, in the poll here that you're voting for, and leave your comments here if you're watching After the Fact on YouTube, that this upcoming season will be Geno Smith's best, or maybe the season after that. Because I know a lot of us have been thinking, well, Geno will be here a few years, and then we'll draft someone, and then they'll take over. Rich Gannon was a 4-time Pro Bowler with us, 32 years old. There's no reason that Geno Smith can't rattle off 3, 4 more seasons of Pro Bowl caliber football. You know what I'm saying? I think this is a real possibility. Raids 81. Geno is a young 34-year-old or whatever. Lots of production ahead for him. And I do think, especially with what we are hearing about the wide receiver core of this team in particular, this team has a chance to rival the offensive weaponry of his best years with Seattle. Because it was probably the year that they drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba, because you had DK, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett, and then Kenneth Walker running the football. If Ashton Jeanty can be what he is, he'll be better than any Seattle Seahawks running back that Geno's ever played with. Jacoby Myers, really good, probably still right now hovering around his prime. Brock Bowers is easily the best target that Geno Smith will ever throw to in his career. And now the emergence of Jack Bech and Dante Thornton, a star being born out of one of those two guys. I don't know, man. I think Geno Smith could be entering his prime, which is something pretty crazy to say, because mentally he's never been sharper. And now combining his talents with the talents of a Chip Kelly. Vinny said schematically the offense has never looked better for the Raiders. This could be maybe an even better season than we initially thought. I could see us getting a 4 to 5 good years out of Geno Smith. Could you imagine that? Didn't play a lot before he got to Seattle, right? Exactly. When we traded for Geno, I quit worrying about the passing game. He can throw the ball. Could not agree more. So the last thing I want to talk about here is the star being born, the thing I teased out, because we've seen the reports initially about Jack Bech, but it's not Jack Bech I want to talk about. It's Dante Thornton Jr. This kid continues to impress. Levi Edwards said he's been the most impressive rookie so far. More than Caleb Rogers, more than Darian Porter, more than Bech, more than Ashton Jeanty. It's Dante Thornton. And now Hondo has been saying the order of the Raiders wide receiver depth chart, the Raiders, is completely up for grabs now. And this is an interesting thought to have here as we wrap up this stream with one more little think piece. Raiders Insider projects the 3 starting wide receivers in Vegas if the season started today, which it does not. But if it did, this is what we're talking about. Going into the summer months, the Raiders might have the least experienced wide receiver room in the National Football League. Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker are the only wideouts on the roster with real experience. And right now, it doesn't seem like the decision makers in Las Vegas are in a hurry to add veteran help at the position. That's a positive. One of the reasons, GM John Spytek probably hasn't made a move at wide receiver in the last 6 weeks is because of the 2 wideouts the team had picked up in the draft. Oh my God, I'm so excited. 2nd round pick Jack Bech and 4th round pick Dante Thornton have both impressed in offseason activities, and at least one of the 2 appears to have developed appears to be more developed than had been advertised leading up to the draft. According to the team beat writer Levi Edwards, Thornton had been arguably the best rookie on the team during organized offseason activities. And this is what I was talking about. Perfect placement from Geno Smith finding Dante Thornton for a touchdown. The 2 defensive backs draped all over him. This offseason, Thornton has been one of, if not the best rookies for the Raiders this season. That's a big statement from Edwards, because the Raiders had a few highly touted rookies in 2022 draft class. Boise State Ashton Jeanty running back, blah, blah, blah. It's still early in the evaluation process, but if the season started today, SI insider Harno Carpenter believes the Raiders rookie wide receivers, I keep doing that, keep misplacing my R's, in Las Vegas would be in line for significant roles in Chip Kelly's offense. I'm going to tell you right now, I think if the season started today, Your three starters, your three starting wide receivers would be Jakobi Meyers, Jack Bech, and Dante Thornton. Now, the season isn't starting today. Training camp is going to have to tell us a lot, but I'm telling you, Dante Thornton looks the part. You can tell by what the drills they're running him with, who he's running with, that they're a big buyers on him. I just had a thought right now while I was reading that article. Whose offense could this compare to? You know what I was thinking? Could we be a poor man's Detroit Lions? Now hear me out. Detroit Lions, their offense, Jared Goff, very good quarterback, top 7 in the league, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, 2 solid running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs is electric, young stud. Their wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Williams, and who's their third wide receiver? I can't think of it right now. Hold on. Lions depth chart 2025. I know I'm forgetting somebody really obvious. Yeah. Khalif Raymond. And they have Sam Laporta as well, right? Think about what our offense could be if Jack Bech molds into something, right? You've got Jack and Jakobi Meyers both being that slot, like middle of the field, physical, 3rd and 7, just give me the ball and I'm going to catch it receiver. You've got Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton. One of those two guys could mold into the next Jameson Williams. You've got Ashton Jeanty being your Jahmyr Gibbs. You've got Raheem Mostert being your David Montgomery. You've got Brock Bowers being your Sam Laporta. And you've got Geno Smith being your Jared Goff, with Chip Kelly being your Ben Johnson. Look, only time will tell. And as Rays81 says, pads and hitting will decide the wide receivers 3, 4, and 5. But this, if they hit on these guys, and these kids are on rookie contracts, and little Jack and Dante Thornton are starting over Trey Tucker. And by the way, I've heard that Trey Tucker's been making plays too, and I've been saying that when he gets a quarterback under center, like Aiden O'Connell, who at least has an arm that can throw him the football, he's out there making plays, and Geno could positively impact Trey Tucker on levels we don't even know. But here's my question to you guys, and really think about this before you vote, because this is going to be super interesting. What is the correct starting wide receiver combo? Is it Jakobi, Trey, and Jack, which is probably what I would have put my money on before the season started? Is it Jakobi, Jack, and Dante, or is it Jakobi, Trey, and Dante? Because I heard that the starters for a little bit were Myers, Thornton, and Tucker, with Jack coming off the bench. But what the crazy thing is that we didn't really expect, like, all the people who are saying, yeah, we knew Dante Thornton could mold into something. You didn't think it would happen this fast, and it hasn't yet. A big red flag, big sirens flashing. It hasn't yet. But taking these reports at face value, Dante Thornton is going to start. 6'5", huge wingspan, 4.3 speed. Okay, who voted other? Oh, to clarify, Bowers is number 1. Okay, so maybe that's what you're talking about. But if you voted other, do you have Tommy Mellott maybe starting? I think if I had to put money on it right now, Myers and Thornton are starting. And then Jack Bech is starting, and Trey Tucker's coming off the bench. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe that. And it's not for a lack of Trey Tucker being talented. It's Dante Thornton being Trey Tucker, but being 6'5". This is insane, man. I'm so excited to watch this. Way too early to say we got, no doubt. We got to get those pads on. You are 100% right. I just think what Hondo said specifically about who they have Dante Thornton running drills with, who they have him taking reps with, the route tree that they could see him run in practice, you can make a judgment call on how that person's going to play with pads on already. And you can tell, more importantly, you can tell what the team thinks of a guy by the type of drills that he's doing, with whom the type of drills he's doing them with. If you're running with the first teamers as a freshman in high school and you're running drills with the varsity kids before we even start playing, right, real games, you're like, oh, this kid's going to start. Now, he might not be good, but he's going to play. Raiders may have too many weapons. That's a good problem to have. I don't see Trey Tucker. Oh, you don't want to see Trey Tucker. I'd rather see our draft picks. Well, I just want to see who's best on the team play. And this is a good problem to have. We haven't even talked about Michael Mayer or Tommy Millott. And apparently there's reports that Zamir White is even looking okay. I don't know. Only time will tell. But here's what I'll say. I think Dante Thornton has the potential to be a massive player for this team moving forward. And like I said before, if you're in a dynasty league, if you're on the sleeper app, he's only rostered on about 51% of leagues. I just picked him up. Excuse me. You guys got to do the same. So look, this was a blast. Sincere looked good day 2. Good. I like Sincere McCormick. He's a solid player. If you're watching here on Bleach Report, thank you so much for joining me here for this tight 30. I'll be back tomorrow, same time. We'll have new topics, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Raiders Daily. If you're watching live on Bleach Report, thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away. This was fun. I'm excited. Let's get to training camp. Let's get to week 1. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.